Sean, your first Super Rugby season, it's quite a daunting task, but you've been preparing it for, you've probably had the longest pre-season of most of this year of all years. So how's it been, first of all, and now a week or two before the tournament, how do you feel?
I think we're a bit relieved now that the pre-season's over. It was a long haul, up until Christmas. We had 2 weeks back and we had a friendly against Russia. It is my first campaign. I'm excited about it. It is a big challenge, as we all know, and there's a lot of pressure in this competition. But I think, if you look at the competition as a whole, it's very difficult to win every game. So you've got to take 1 week at a time, and we also know that it's unforgiving. If you're off your game on one weekend, it's not just a loss; it'll be a hiding. So those are the things that we've spoken about in the pre-season. So for us at the Sharks, it's about consistency.
You had a lot of personnel losses on the off-season, especially up front. Got a couple of guys in as such, but perhaps if I say, and I hope I'm not being flippant about this, but if people were from the outside would look at your Achilles heel, they might say it's up front. You don't have the same sort of grunt that the Sharks had last season with the Dupree brothers and a couple of other guys. Do you feel the same? And because you've obviously got a lot of talent in that back line as well.
Yeah, being a head coach that has obviously coached attack before and backs before, we look to play more of an exciting brand of rugby. Yes, we have lost a lot of grunt up front. If you take the Dupree twins, as well as Philip van der Walt, Rowan Botha, as well as Beast and Cooney and Akker, those are big name rugby players and big game rugby players. So yes, but it does allow us to play a different brand of rugby. Obviously, there's a change in personnel, and the players that we've brought in are athletic players. So you will see a different team running out this year.
I was going to say, because you've come back with you guys have, in your back line, at least you've got a lot of guys high in confidence coming back from a World Cup. Guys like Kanyo and Magazole and guys and Spoo. Those are obviously your strike weapons in the Super Rugby season. Has it been difficult for them to come back from that high? Because it was obviously the ultimate high for a play.
Yeah, I must say, it's been comfortable having them back. They've fitted in well. We haven't had a problem. They've been excited, even though they weren't training with us at one stage. They were at the training. They were giving their input, and that's something that we want from seasoned players, and especially guys that have represented their country. They're full of energy. They're keen to bounce back. They want to be consistent in their performances because they're all young and they've got a future ahead of them in international rugby. And as we know, Russie's a no-nonsense coach, and if they don't perform on a weekly basis, they won't be part of the international setup. But they are key members of our team. It does look good when you write the back line down on paper. They're international class players that have won the World Cup, they're world champion. So we certainly will look to them for confidence, and we need them to be on top of the game for us to be able to get results on the weekend. But in saying that, we've brought in some new players up front, exciting players. I wouldn't say that we are a young squad. If you look at our 28 players that could go on tour, I think we're a new squad and a fresh squad with a new coaching staff. So that bodes well for us. So we've had to change and tweak a few things going forward.
You guys have obviously got a terrible draw, probably the worst start in terms of, when you look at the schedule of the other South African teams, one at home and then 4 away and then come back in the Jaguars and the Stormers. A very tough opening 7 weeks of the competition. Just how do you approach that?
Yeah, I would answer that question yes and no. It's tough in a sense that you're going to be away from home for 4 weeks. I think the fact that we're a new squad, that plays in our favour, as it's an opportunity for the guys to get away together, spend time together, and as we know, spirit within a group is really important. But at the same time, it is challenging. It's tough to tour overseas. I've done it on 5 occasions. I know what the challenges, bring, from week to week. But at the same time, it's exciting because we're a new group and we have some guys that haven't played Super Rugby before. It's exciting for them, and that's what we've got to take out of it. At the same time, Durban is a difficult place to play in February. In the last couple of weeks in Durban, the weather has been, blistering. far as the heat's concerned. So I think the guys will be looking at a bit of relief going into different climates abroad.
I take it makes that first game against the Bulls even more important, because if you can get off with a good start and get onto the road with a win under the belt, it makes a huge difference for the squad.
Yeah, I think it's an old cliche, you want to start well. The Bulls are also a new team. They've also lost players, likewise we have, as well as the Lions. So I think we're in the same boat as far as our depth and squads are concerned. But in saying that, we're looking forward to the challenge on a Friday night in Durban. We just want to put in a good performance from week to week, and like I said, consistency is key. There will be times where we don't get the result, because we don't control everything that happens on the field. But from a work ethic and effort point of view, we want consistent in that department, because we've been criticised from that point of view in the past.
You've got blessed with a very, very good group of youngsters that are coming through. Won the Under-19 championship 2 years ago. A lot of those guys featured in your Currie Cup squad as well. Are we going to be seeing them a lot more in Super Rugby this year? There's a lot of them going to start coming through?
Yes, they will. I think the important thing is how we manage them from a workload point of view, and how we bleed them in with the senior rugby players. It's definitely part of our objective and aim of Super Rugby is to grow our squad. And like I said to you earlier, the experience that we have in the top 28 players is backed up by youth, and we'll have to blood them in from week to week. There will be some guys that are going to get their first shot at Super Rugby, the standout players in the Currie Cup. There's guys like Buddha Chamberlain and Senator Number that might be the early favourites for a spot come round one. So they might be thrown in the deep end, but there's certainly, as you said, a lot of good youngsters that will get an opportunity throughout the year. Super Rugby using between 35 and 40 players. And like I said, our backup in the squad is our youth.
The one thing that's featured last year, the Aguiares came through a lot. I know they've lost some players in the off-season after the World Cup as well, but they were a huge threat, and obviously if they do well, that means it makes it so much harder for all the South African teams to get a playoff place as well if they win the conference. So I suppose in one thing, for all the South African teams, they're the number one target first of all. And winning in Buenos Aires, only one team, the Lions last year, in the last 2 years have won in Buenos Aires. So that's a huge part of the game. You guys struggled. I know it wasn't your team, but had a big loss at home last year.
Yeah, as we know, they're an international team. I think they've been fortunate in that they've been together for close on 4 years now. So they've been able to build on a platform where South Africans are losing a lot of players from year to year, and every year it seems like we're starting from scratch. In saying that, they'll be disappointed in their performance in the World Cup. I think they expected more from the group. Whether they overplayed that squad or not during Super Rugby, that can be questioned. But certainly in Super Rugby, it's a trophy that they haven't managed to win as yet. And being a team of that quality, I'm sure that their country expects them to win it.
Talk about we've lost a lot of personnel, and I suppose all the teams have lost a lot of personnel. I think the last year was around about 400 South Africans playing overseas. If you think that squads of 45, there'd be only 180 playing in Super Rugby, then given those facts, do you still think a South African team can win Super Rugby?
Yes, definitely, because we're not the only country that has been affected by the movement of players. If you look at the list of players that have left all the Super Rugby franchises, it's on average 15 to 16 players per franchise. New Zealand are also faced with the same threat now as South African players have over the years, but it's only starting in New Zealand. Their players that are 25 plus are leaving their shores to go and play elsewhere. So from that point of view, it is, shall I say, we can take confidence out of it, because we're not the only team that are struggling as far as that's concerned. We know that Australia has been underperforming, although the Brumbies did really well in the Super Rugby competition, last year. They reached the semis. So yeah, competition will be good amongst us all.
you were talking about playing a more expansive game with your team, and I think we saw anything of that in Currie Cup. Obviously, you first competition, still getting your sort of feet wet, so to speak, in the competition. But is that, I know Super Rugby is a faster game, etc., but it tends to have more tries. But is that going to be a very attack-minded output from guys this year?
Yeah, Brendan, we have to play according to the conditions that that we're faced with. We also got to play according to the defence that comes our way from week to week. And as we know, that there's a lot of line speed is the way forward. A lot of teams are doing it. So which that might require a lot of kicking. So when we talk about an exciting brand of rugby, I think we can excite people rather on defence and attack. So when you're playing in Durban, it's tough. We tend to get a lot of rain in the evening in the summer months, so then it will take a different type of game. But certainly when the climate allows it and the opposition allows it, we're going to move the ball.
You've got Brent coming in as well. It's new coaching team, both of you. You guys have been working together for a couple of months now. You know him from before as well. You've coached against him. How's that relationship working and going into the season? Yeah,
Brent's been brilliant since he's come in. Brent and I go back quite a long way. We've had a relationship in rugby since about 2011, 2012. He's a very organised coach, very diligent with a high work ethic. And it's no wonder that he achieved the results that he did at Griquas. So he's brought in a different flavour to the Sharks. The coaching staff has been reduced by quite a large number. We're only 3 now. So we get on really, really well with one another. And I think the most important thing is that we bought into the plan. And I'm talking about the defence and attack coach, because sometimes that can get a bit tense. But we're all in it together and a very happy unit.
And you've obviously got guys like Pat Lambie coming in and mentoring some of the guys as consultants. Is that working out well as well?
Yes, as we all know, Pat's the golden boy of KwaZulu-Natal, and it's always good to have him on board. My relationship with Pat goes back to when he left school. I was his first coach as a junior, and we get on along really well. And apart from the kicking that he's going to be doing for us, it's also a shoulder to lean on. He's got 56 tests under his belt, and he's been playing rugby over in France, so we lean on him for advice as well.
I suppose one of the hot button questions last season, one of the things that was under debate a lot of time, was the fly-off role, where Kerwin plays fullback fly-off, etc. Am I right in saying that he's going to be given an extended run as long as he's fit at fly-off, or are you looking to play him at fullback as well?
No, you're 100% right. I believe that Kerwin's future is at fly-off, although he can play fullback. I think he's a match winner at 10. There's aspects of his game that he needs to work on. But if you look at his position-specific skills, it all leads towards a 10. Kerwin came out of his shell in the Currie Cup. He's taking a leadership role in the team, similar to what Pat did as a youngster, and he's really stepped up well into that role. So we're expecting a big season from him at 10.
And I take it that fullback, the same goes for Apelele Fassi as well. He looks like he's going to get a good run at fullback as well.
Apelele is such an exciting rugby player and obviously very dangerous from the back. He's also got a good left boot, and Pat's been working hard with him with his kicking, because that's an area of the game that he needs to work on. So I think him and Kerwin in the backfield, regardless of what position they play, it's certainly a dangerous combination, and will put teams under threat.
Anything else you want to maybe say something to the Sharks fans while we get you?
Yeah, I think to all the Sharks fans out there, the crowds have been diminishing over the years. All we ask is that we've made a commitment that we're going to play a brand of rugby that shows work ethic and excitement, and we'd like you to be part of it. So please come out and support us.
Cool.